Well, he has been honored by the National Cowboy Museum in Oklahoma City. There's an exhibit about his life at the Museum of the Great Plains here in Lawton, and he's not finished. Age may have slowed him down, but Howard Council is still making saddles by hand, one at a time, on 2nd Street. 7 News reporter Scott Miller sat down with the legendary saddle maker, who at 85 is still doing what he loves. Scott.
Well, Dave, Howard Council is one of those rare people who has been doing the same thing for more than 6 decades, who still absolutely loves what he does. And he is so good at it that he still has a list of people waiting for one of his saddles. And some of them don't even own a horse. Doesn't look like much. Built in 1926, the same year Howard was born. Ask just about anybody about the building with the horse. They'll know.
I try to tell people where my shop is, and they'll look at you kind of blank, and I'll say, "You know where the horse is?" "Oh, yeah, I know where the horse is."
Walk in the door.
Oh, come on in.
And you're back in time when quality meant made in America, made by hand, and it's still being made by Howard. Made his first saddle in 1950, taught himself, doesn't know how many he's made since then. Probably more than 1,000 though. One thing's for sure, world champions love his saddles, especially calf ropers.
I made saddles for 12 world champions, and between them they won 25 world championships. And then world champion all-arounds, I've had 20 of those. Well, 20 all-arounds have been won on my saddles, but this one man, that's a current world champion all-around, Trevor Brazil, he's won 9 all-around just by himself.
Wrangler did an ad campaign featuring Brazil sitting on a Howard Council saddle, of course. Celebrities like his work, pro football players, and country music legend George Strait. Howard made him a saddle, and they've been friends ever since.
He's a nice man. I made his first one 20 years ago. He called me one day after that and said, "Boy, I love that saddle. I'd sure like to meet you sometime." That's what he said to me. And I said, "Boy, I'd like to meet you." And he said, "Well, I'm having a concert tomorrow at Oklahoma City tomorrow night."
You don't have to be famous to buy one of Howard's works of art or even have an interest in horses. Saddles aren't his only passion or his only art. Howard paints, too. Taught himself. Sounds familiar. The Museum of the Great Plains here in Lawton has an exhibit featuring his saddles and his art, tools from his shop, all honoring the man and his contribution to Southwest Oklahoma. Back of the shop, the walls are littered with a who's who of calf ropers, barrel racers, and National Finals rodeo contestants. Most people call them customers, not Howard.
We haven't made a lot of money, but we met a lot of friends. I call them friends, customers, but friends all over, literally all over the United States and Canada even.
Howard definitely has a lot of friends. He's still making saddles and has no plans to retire. Compares himself to a car that sits and no longer runs. Says it isn't good for the car, doesn't think retirement would be good for him. So he continues to do what he loves to do, so the rest of us can admire his works of art.